I'm separating some stuff. I have another YouTube channel which I really don't use for that much, but I'm about to start using it. The Hustler's Mindset and the Monday Morning Pep Talk are going to go on that channel starting next week. I'll have a link below and you can subscribe and I'll let you know when I put a video up. But this one's going to stay where it is with the storage auction stuff, the storage auction stories, and all the crazy stuff that people are doing. So just letting you know, that's one major change. Another major change, still under development, so I won't put it out. But with all that, oh, and also January 17th, 2009, the free, I have to say it with an echo, free Introduction to Storage Auction Business webinar. It's an hour, starts 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can sign up below if you so desire. And with no further ado, the first video of 2012. Hopefully this time next year we'll still be around, depending upon that Mayan calendar and what you think about life. I think we're going to be here. I'm preparing. Anyway, Persian rugs, Grecian statues, and Robert Mapplethrope. If you've never heard of Robert Mapplethrope, he's an intriguing figure in the art world. I would say Google it, but brace yourself, because you'll see some stuff you've never seen before. Then again, if you've been buying storage units, you may have seen this stuff. I got this unit at the Sugar property, which is now public storage property, downtown Atlanta, close to Piedmont Park, and it was in December. One of my favorite times to buy because everyone's like, hey, it's Christmas and I'm out here, and a lot of folks simply don't have the money to buy rooms and also buy Christmas gifts for their loved ones. They can't do both. And the storage auction business, if you don't have a strong online presence in terms of selling at the flea market and thrift stores, it goes wah, 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 wah. To me, that's just basically a poor job of marketing, because we were selling out of our thrift store right up to Christmas Eve. It was kind of sick. Then after that point, it's going to drop off until tax season. Whenever that really starts, that's when it's going to drop off. But being the eager beaver that I was always out there just buying and stacking, because I knew what was going to come. And as many of you, if this is your first year in the business, you're going to discover this year that from end of January till April, maybe beginning of May, it's going to be a bitch. Depending on where you are, it's going to be really rough, because people get their income tax, they pay up the delinquent units. People get their income tax, they go out to the auction. So you have a inventory that's reducing and the demand is exploding. So what happens? Escalating prices. Law of supply and demand. It's great when you're on that side where demand softens and you get lower prices, but it's not going to be like that. And I don't care what the TV shows say or don't say, this happens every year. So even if the TV shows were not on, you would see madness. Anywho, get this unit. Well, we're down there and there's only 3 of us. There's this little short frumpy guy and there's this other guy I've never seen before. Todd, who no longer works there, and he wouldn't give a shit anyway. He was ready to get the hell on because he was going home to North Carolina, because this was the last auction of the year for him, and once it was done, he could start his vacation. So he was like, hey, let's go. I mean, we signed in. He's like, hey, they ain't here, deuces. I mean, and he was very like that. So we go, he locks the door, we go out and we start looking at units. The first ones, they're not stuff that I was really interested in because I had been buying. It was roughly Wednesday, and I'd already bought 25 units at that juncture. So I was kind of being a little bit more selective because I had, I was feeling pretty good about my inventory. And the first few units that popped up, they were things that I already had, I wasn't really interested in, and they weren't big pack units. They weren't full from the rooter to the tutor. So I was like, I love having them. And bidder 1, bidder 2, they were getting these units for like $5 and $10, $5 and $10. I didn't even pull out my bid sheet. And at the time, SureGuard was sealed bid auction where you write down your bid. I hated it because you can seriously overpay with sealed bid if you really get eager for a unit. And it just kind of went like that. And I was like, okay, I was thinking I wasn't going to buy anything. Go down to the basement level, and then the horror begins. Door goes up, and I have this passion and this fascination for units that are weird, because I'm a weird dude. I like art, I like the stuff, and door goes up and bam, there's Brutus right there. The 6-foot Grecian statue, no head, and then there's all this sawdust and crap all over the place. And I'm just like, this is a workshop. Whoever does this, because you can see it. I was like, there was wood and there was like cutouts from a person who would make stuff. Later on, after I got the unit, it was an interior designer, a gay interior designer. If you see my video, gay guys have the best stuff. And for some reason, apparently I got way too eager, because at first, bidder 1 and bidder 2, they were like, oh, this is a lot of trash, this is a lot of junk, because you really couldn't see that much other than Brutus, and there was other Grecian statues that were broken, that were like literally on the floor, like someone that just stamped on them. And they really weren't that interested. But me, my tail must have popped out, because I pulled out my paper and they immediately pulled out their paper, because they weren't even going to bid. And I'm like, damn. So I had to use a little strategy. I had to pull out the Jedi mind trick. So I pulled out my paper and I made sure that they saw me, and I wrote down 2 numbers. Make sure they saw that. One of the bidders, he wrote down his 2 numbers, sucker, and turned it in. See, once you turn it in, usually they don't let you get it back. Sometimes they will, but you have to know to ask. Most folks don't know that. And usually there's one, she will not let you get it back. Once you turn it in, it's a wrap. So I'm sitting there watching him. Then the other bidder, he goes back, and he's looking, he's in there. And I was just like, okay, what you gonna do, dude? What you gonna do? And he sat there and he put his hand on his chin, and he thought about it, and he's like, ah. Then I saw him, and he like, I was like, frick, 4 digits, damn. Okay, that's a lot of combinations. I don't think he's gonna bid $1,000. And like I said, he was the guy that was bidding $5. The other guy was bidding 10. So I was like, okay, he's gonna go cheap. So I go back to the unit, and I look at it, and I was like, okay. So $130-something pops up, like 135, and I was like, and with sealed bid, never ever turn in like whole numbers. You don't. So I took that number and I put a little extra cheese on it, right? A little extra cheese, a little lettuce, a little onions and tomatoes, and then I turn it in. And then Todd's fumbling around with it, and bam, Glendon, it's your unit. I beat dude by like $8, $9. So if I didn't put a little cheese, when you go, always make sure you get a little extra cheese, a little sesame seed bunch, whatever, when you get your Whopper, because I would have lost that unit. And dude just shrugged his shoulders, and it was like, okay, he wasn't really depressed. And at that point, we go to another unit. It's just a sofa and some other stuff. I get that for little or nothing. Then we go to the office and pay. At this point, I had empty. The van was empty. And there was all this trash and stuff, so I just went ahead and got some trash bags, went back to the unit and was just cleaning up the floor, had my gloves. Always make sure you have real gloves, none of those little wimpy, cheap gloves. Spend money on your gloves. I cleaned up, and I had 5 freaking trash bags full of stuff after 30 minutes. So I put it on the cart, because they had these big rolling carts that would break your ankles if you weren't careful. And I went up to the top, and I looked. I saw Todd was gone. He wasn't kidding. And I went to the dumpster, and an empty dumpster with no lock on it to a storage auction house, that's like gold, especially when there's no one around. And I looked, he was gone, and there was like choo choo choo. Those 5 bags in there, and I was like, I had plenty of room for other stuff. Go back to the unit, and I'm going through the stuff, and I start finding other nice stuff, and that's when I found out he was an interior designer. I found his invoices, his cards, all that stuff, and the unit was just getting gooder and gooder, because I found one item I knew that was going to be my money. Now, I had leaned over onto Brutus, and Brutus didn't move. And Brutus was heavy as hell. That was a trip, getting his big ass out of there. And I loaded up the van, found all kind of neat stuff, accent stuff, small Persian rugs, and just really nice stuff. I was like, oh man, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So I load the van. On the way back to my house, I called my partner. I was like, hey, meet me at my place, because this is a good unit. You're going to want to look at this stuff, and I know you're going to take some stuff. So have at it. It'll be in the garage. And go back and get the rest of the stuff of what I can, because Brutus was a special trip unto himself. And this is when I find the Robert Mapplethrope stuff. All reproductions. None of it was an original. I wish some of it was an original. Some of his stuff has gone for 200-300 grand, original prints. And you've seen his work. You just didn't know who the artist was behind the photograph. But long story short, get in there, and you know, also gay guys tend to have a lot of porn. He had 3 boxes, DVDs, magazines, all this gay porn. But I had a lot of gay customers, and I had a few that I was cool with, and I was just like, hey, I have what you want. And he's like, really? Is it good stuff? Because this guy, he liked the interracial gay porn. I was like, it's all that and more. He said, okay. And usually when you sell, you know, you got a porn source, there's really not a lot of negotiation, because either they're going to buy it or they're not going to buy it. So he bought it. Then he turned me on to another guy, because he wasn't really a fan of Robert Mapplethrope, but he knew a guy that got into art collecting, and he said, hey, call this guy, send him some pictures. He might like it, because, you know, he saw him. And I said, okay. Dude bought them all for $3K. Because I researched them, and I didn't, you know, what they were going for on eBay, I wouldn't have got that for that much on eBay, and I would have had a lot more hassle and shipping and potential breakage, because all these prints were nicely framed and nice prints. And, you know, they were like from that big to big, but, you know, he bought them all. I was like, have it. And I actually ended up putting Brutus on eBay, you know, local pickup only. And this is how I had to get some help, because I had to get a friend with a truck, because I didn't want to lay Brutus down, because I was like, once you lay him down, he ain't getting the hell back up. And man, we struggled to get that big ass statue out there, because, you know, it was 6 feet without the head, and the head had like this little socket thing, so you just drop it in there. I put it on eBay. This guy from Tennessee came down and got it, $950. So this was a great unit. It looked like it was from hell. There was like all this stuff. You gotta have the eye. You gotta have the eye. You really need to be able to look at the unit and separate the chaff from the wheat, because in this business, ugly can be very pretty on the profit tip. And that's how this unit was, you know, and this was just being out there, because the more units you buy, the luckier you become. I understand that many of you cannot get a lot of units. You're going to have to work up to it. It took me 2 years to work up to a point like that, and you know, really busting my ass. And understand, you know, I did a video, you know, if you can't really jump into it, you might as well pick and work your way up. Or you can beat on your chest, pull on your nuts, and just like, I am man, or I am woman, you know, if you tweak your nipples or whatever you do, and just go out there and do it. But just know, you need to buy some units. You know, it's going to be very, very frustrating if you do what I call a cherry pick method of storage unit buying. It's like you go out for weeks and weeks and you buy that one unit. It's kind of like when you're dating and you put all your hopes and dreams on that one person and you run them off because you're a little crazy. It's the same analogy with storage, because you put so much hope and time and effort, and it's like, you better make me some money. You better make me. Look, you're toying with my emotions. I'm serious. You know, you got to spread it out. You got to spread it out. But that was one of the best units that I ever got in terms of time, profit, and ease of sale, because it took me no time to sell that stuff. I mean, I sold that stuff all within 2 weeks. But that's the type of things that can happen if you get in this business. Sure, you can lose your ass. It's going to happen. I bought units. Hey, there's a video of the worst unit I ever bought. I lost $1,000. 800 bucks on the unit, 200 bucks in dump fees. Hey, but that's the reality. You lose big, you win big. You know, just saying. All right, this is Glendon. We're making money with storage unit auctions. Remember, if you want to check out that webinar, you can sign up below, and then there's some more information below. If you like this video, share it with a friend. If you have a smart ass comment, put it down there. I'll probably answer it with a smart ass comment of my own. And also, subscribe. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pike this year, and you don't want to miss it.